Hello and welcome. Well, I decided to make this video for those of you that don't like to sit there and read. So I thought I'd just talk to you on a video. Well, we all want a good life, and in my personal opinion, if you have money, it gets lots of things done, right? And if you manage it well, then it helps in having a good life, doesn't it? And that's what I'm here to talk to you about. Uh, I'm going to talk about how you can own your house for as little as $10. Uh, what I'm about to share with you isn't something they teach in schools. They don't teach it in college. It's not in the books. This is the type of thing that only comes with experience, and therefore it's only passed down by someone that wants to share. And here I am sharing it with you, so pay attention. um, I'm going to tell you, if you get this one thing right, that is to own your house, then the benefit of that is going to be that by end of this video you're going to know how you can get a free retirement account and have $30,000 put into it, free money every year. How to own a house, pay it off, and retire in next 15 years. Travel the world if you want, live on a beach, and when you die, you'll die rich. Just all you gotta do is just follow this video to the end and execute. Knowledge not applied is no good. So you have to apply this knowledge. And I'm gonna make it very easy. This is not anything you're gonna have to go find. This is not one of those useless videos where they give you an idea and then you're like, how do I do that? No, I'm gonna give it to you step by step. As a matter of fact, I am the guy that's going to give you the house that you can own. So you don't have to go anywhere. Just all you got to do is pick up the phone and call me. So, first thing I like to tell people is, hey, the best place where you can invest, the first thing that you want to invest your money in is in yourself. So if you have money and you can improve yourself somehow, educate yourself, get a upgraded level of skills or whatever it is, then go do that so that you can make more money. So that's one. And then beyond that, you just have to manage your money well. And part of that is, we all make money, but it seems like most people complain about not having enough. Well, that's because a lot of people live like a revolving door. They go make money, money comes in, they pay the essential bills, then they blow the rest of it. You know what I mean? I meet people all the time. They're making $6 grand, $8 grand, $10,000 a month, and they only have $2,000-3,000 of real expenses, but they have no money. So what happened to the other $7,000? Well, they blew it. They went out to eat, they bought shoes, they drank too much beer, drugs, helped out a friend, I don't know, whatever you spend your money on. But the point is, if you want a good life, you have to have money, and money, like anything else, is a skill. So if you don't know that skill, then money is hard for you. You haven't got it figured out. But I'm going to tell it to you how you can do it. It's very easy. So your biggest payment when you make money, the biggest payment you probably make every month is the payment to your landlord. You pay rent, right? Well, rent is not cheap. Average rent right now is about $2,400. Now, you may be paying less because you may not live in the best part of town in a wonderful house, but if you're looking for a good house in a good neighborhood with good schools, well-maintained house with no problems, the average rent right now is about $2,400 on a house. The median price of a house as of last month is about $360,000. So anyway, so um, you have this expense, and what I'm here to share with you is, hey, when you pay rent, you are paying off your landlord's mortgage, right? You are paying off his house. You pay him, he takes the money, sends it to the bank, and that pays off his house. So what I'm here to share with you is, hey, you can very easily use the same money and be your own landlord, or be the owner, so that your money works for you instead of other people. So that's it. Well, how do you do that? Well, you might say, well, I don't have credit, I don't have money. You have 10 different reasons why you say, well, it's not so easy to buy a house. Well, I'm going to make it easy for you. How about you call me and I'll give you a house, right? And I will let you use the money that you're now wasting on rent to pay off that house. How about that? So people do it all day long. Landlord goes out, buys the house, and puts some money down and gets a house, and he puts you in there as a renter, and you pay off his house. But what I'm offering you is a deal where you can use the money that you're now wasting on rent and turn it into an investment and use that to pay off a house. So what it basically takes is you call someone who let you use your rent money to pay off the house, right? You ask, hey man, my landlord never gave me a penny back out of my rent. Why would he let me pay off the house with a rent? Well, that's him. But there are lots of good people out there that will offer you that. I can offer you that. Why is that? Well, the basic reason is people that have money, they cannot grow their money just by having it. It takes doing something with it. So if they take their money, let's say somebody has $350,000, they take it to a bank and they put it in a bank. The bank pays 1/4%. That's 0.25% a year. So they pay very little interest. Well, what if you were to go up to a guy and say, hey man, why don't you buy a house for me with that money and charge me a reasonable rate of interest, and let me pay off this house in payments, right? He'll make a lot more money. Well, if somebody's getting paid, let's say 0.25% interest, right? And you offer him 1% interest, well, that's him making 4 times more, right? What if you offer him 10 times more? Well, that'll be 2.5%. But what if you let the guy charge you, let's say 12%? Well, that's 48 times what he's making at the bank. He's going to love you. So the point is, there are lots of people that will do things for you, provided you are deserving and you know how to find these people. How I know these people is because I used to be a financial advisor and had a list, long list of people who wanted me to call them and help them invest their money. And this is one of the ways you can do it. So I can help you. All you got to do is give me a call. Anyway, let's talk about owning a house. So why would you want to own a house? Well, the first reason is you have to have a roof over your head. Why not take that money and make it work for you instead of other people, right? And another reason might be, on your own, you don't save money just by habit. You are driven by your desires. So anytime whatever's there in front of your eyes, you want it, so you go spend money on that. Let me ask you, how old are you? And how many years has it been since you've been an adult or been out of high school? Well, if you are 30, you've been out for 12 years. In 12 years, you made all sorts of money. What's your net worth? What do you have in the bank? Nothing. Well, most people tell me, oh, I have a couple $1,000. Well, that's not your money. That's for the next month's rent. So all you got is next month's rent, because you know you're going to get kicked out. Other than that, you have no money. Why? So I'm going to help you fix that situation by not living like a revolving door, but instead taking the money that you have made and investing it in you in form of you buying a house. So when you make a house payment, and you have to pay mortgage payment, you have to pay property taxes, you have to pay insurance. Yeah, you are investing that money, and over time it grows. Well, let me give you some statistics. So for example, um, houses or real estate generally goes up about 10% a year. And if something goes up 10% a year, how long does it take to double? Most people might say, oh, 10 years. No, the correct answer is there's a formula called formula of 72. The purpose of the formula is for you to take the growth rate and take 72 divided by the growth rate. So let's say you go to a bank, you put in $1,000 and you want to know when will it become $2,000. And let's say the banker is paying you 6% interest. Well, you take 72 divided by 6, the answer is 12. So it will take 12 years for your money to go from 1,000 to 2,000. And the reason is compounding interest. You didn't count that. You were thinking simple interest. So with a compound interest, it goes faster. And everything is compounded. If real estate goes up 10% a year, you take 72 divided by 10, that means real estate doubles every 7.2 years. So let me take you into a timeline window. I'm going to take you back 20 years, then I'm going to show you the next 20 years of your life, and maybe you can relate. Let's say 20 years ago, I remember, let's say 20 years ago was 2002? In 2002, the rent used to be, let's talk about home prices first. Home prices were, I bought houses, let's say for $45,000, right? Well, that $45,000 house, 7 years from 2002 in 2009 became double. From 45, it became a $90,000 house. 7 more years later, by 2016, that very house became $180,000 house. 7 more years later, 2016 plus 7, 2023, it became, now it's a $360,000 house. And, it's going to keep going. As in 2030, this very house will be a $720,000 house. And by 2037, which will be 14 years from now, it will be a $1.44 million house. In 7 more years, by 2043, it'll be $2.8 million house. You see? So, do you remember what I was talking about? Hey man, you can get a house, and yeah. So if you get a house today and it's worth $2.8 million down the road, could you retire? Yeah, you take that money and you retire. Go travel the world. Want to live on a beach? Go live on a beach. And if you use that money wisely and you grow it, then you'll never run out of money. You'll have money and you won't need to go to your 8 to 5 job. And so that's how you do it. And let's talk about rent. Well, you say, oh, no, man, I don't want to own. I just want to pay rent. Well, this is what happens to rent. Rent back in 2002, when the houses were low in price, the rent was low. Rent was about $600. Well, houses double in value every 7.2 years, but houses follow. They follow, but a little bit slower. So they double in value every 10 years. So rent doubles every 10 years. So in 2002, the rent was $600. By 2012, it became $1,200 rent. 10 more years later, 2022, it became $2,400. Now we're in 2023, it's $2,500. And whether you like it or not, when you get to 2032, watch, your rent is going to be about $5,000. And by the time, so we're in 2023, by 2033, the rent will be $5,000. By 2043, which will be 20 years from now, the rent will be $10,000. You don't believe me today. You think I'm shitting you. But guess what? If 600 can go to 1200 and 1200 can go to 2400, that math formula does not change. If prices are going up and prices are doubling, are they going to charge you double the rent? Yes, they are, sir. So point being, you're acting like a little, lobster that you put in and you slowly boil it. They turn up the heat on you. They increase your rent $100 every year, and you don't feel it. But hey, man, it adds up. It doubles every 10 years. And what I'm saying is, as you get older and you are getting ready to retire, your body is going to work slower. You're going to be more sick. Your knees are not going to work. You're going to have a lot of hard time. You might become homeless if you haven't set aside anything to live off of, right? Or you can go with my plan, which is, hey man, use your rent money to own a house. That house will be worth a lot of money, and then you can live off of that money. And not only that, I'm going to remind me. Oh, no, you can't remind me. I'm going to have to remind myself to talk about a retirement plan. But just imagine, in young life, when you're young, you buy a house, and people get a bank loan, and then they pay off the loan over years. But do you know there is also something called a reverse mortgage? That means when you get to 67 or whatever age you want to retire at, you go down to a bank and you say, hey, can you give me a reverse mortgage? What that means is, instead of you paying them, they pay you. And they will not only just pay you for 10 years or 20 years, the contract will say they'll pay you till you die. So whether you die in 50 years or 10 years, they will pay you. So if you walk into a bank and you give them a house worth $2.8 million and it continues to go up, doubling every 7 years, how much money do you think they're willing to give you? Good amount of money. So if you say, hey man, can you send me a check for $10,000 every year until I die? Yes, they will. The condition, basically, how a reverse loan works is, a reverse mortgage is where you go in and you sign a piece of paper, they start sending you a check, but at the end of the day, when you check out of this world, the house belongs to the bank. They sell the house, they get their money back. So, and all it took was one small step for you to do, which is, hey, don't waste money on rent, own it, pay it off, right? We're talking about a retirement plan. Well, you may have a 401k plan at work, and in a 401k plan, I just looked up on the internet, most companies will average match up to 3% of your salary. So let's say you make $50,000 a year. What's 1% of 50,000? 500. What's 3% of 50,000? $1,500. So what that means is, if you contribute $1,500 a year out of your paycheck, then they will match $1,500. So at the end of the day, you put in $1,500, they put in $1,500, you end up having $3,000 in your bank account. Do you know? I'm going to give you a plan free. It's called 30,000K plan. What that means is, let's say you're paying a rent of $2,500 a month, right? Well, that's $30,000 a year. $2,500 times 12, 30, that's $30,000 a year. And all of that money right now goes to waste. And all it takes for you to own a house, which is what your landlord pays, is taxes and insurance. Let's assume your taxes and insurance on the house are $6,000 a year. What is that? That's 12. Divide that by 12. That's $500 a month. So if I was to ask you, hello, sir, what if you were to invest $500 in a plan that belongs to you, your retirement plan? I will give you $2,500 free to put in it every month for as long as you want. So you put in 500, I give you 2,500 free. Because that's what you're doing. When you own a house, all that money that goes to waste, now it's going to you. So $30,000 a year that is now going to waste on your rent, it now goes to pay off the house that you own, which will be worth a lot more money. So, that's how so I said I would show you how to get a 30,000K plan. Well, there's your retirement plan where you'll get $30,000 a year free. I also told you how to pay it off and retire. And you can retire, you don't have to wait 20 years. You can retire in 15 years. I can show you how to pay it off in 15, and so on and so forth. Anyway, let's move forward and talk about what are the other reasons why you want to um, invest in a house instead of cryptocurrency or stocks or wherever else you're betting your money and losing it all the time. Well, house is very safe. You sleep there, you take care of it, right? So, and they're not creating any more land, right? But they're creating babies all the time. So demand is always going up, but the supply is limited. So anytime you have a situation like that where the supply is limited, but the demand keeps on going higher, well, guess what? That's a perfect formula in a supply and demand in economics. They call it, the prices are going to continue to go up. And on top of that, you live in the best country in the world. In that country, you live in the best state in that country. In the state, you live in the best metroplex between Houston, Austin, San Antonio, and DFW. This is the best area to live in. And in this area, you live in the best county, Tarrant County. Most of Dallas County is shit, except for North Dallas. But Tarrant County, do you know Tarrant County has had so much growth? I mean, every kind of employer is right here in Tarrant County, and they've had more people coming in than leaving for last 15-20 years, month after month after month. So we're growing, so people are coming here. That means, whenever you decide to check out and go live on a beach or go live in Peru or Thailand or wherever you want to go, people are going to pay you shitload of money for your house. So this is where you want to be. So another reason why people buy a house instead of other investments is because a house offers you leverage. What a leverage means is kind of like it lets you take more risk with less money. So, for example, let's say you're already paying rent, right? The rent that you pay, it's not optional. You have to pay that. But in order to own, it does take paying property taxes and insurance. And I said they're $500. Well, so your real investment in owning is just $500, right? So if you pay $500 or you invest $500, that's 500 times 12, $6,000 a year. But that $6,000 controls an investment, the house, that's worth $360,000, right? Well, if it controls $360,000 house, but you only paid $6,000 to control that, that means it lets you buy something worth $360 only with $6,000, right? Well, so if the house goes up in value by, let's say, 10%, right? Well, what's 10% of 360? $36,000. You only invested $6,000. You get back $36,000. If you invest 6,000 and you get 6,000 back, how much is that? That's called 100% rate of return. But here, the house gives you back $36,000. That's 600% rate of return. Can you tell me any other investment that pays you that kind of return on your money? So if you have your money invested anywhere else, I want you to rethink. That money needs to be invested in a house that you own. If you already own a house, then call me. I'll help you own a rental property. Become a landlord. And I'll put a renter in it for you. That means all you got to pay me is $600 a month and you can own a house. And the house will be paid off by some dumbass renter who just likes renting, right? So there's leverage. And the nice thing in the United States is if you get into this owning business, prices are always going up. But let's just say for some unfortunate reason, something happens and price of house starts going down. Do you know? You're not tied to the house. They allow you to just walk away from the house. You don't have to pay anything. Just walk away. And nothing happens to you. They don't put you in jail. Nothing happens. But luckily things always go up in price, so you'll be all right. Another thing is when you're a renter, you notice rent is always going up. Well, there's a peace of mind with owning. Your mortgage payment is always fixed. So whatever your mortgage payment today is, it'll be same payment 10 years from now, 15 years from now, until you finish paying it off. So it's a big peace of mind. It never goes up. Another reason why you want to own a house, maybe, you know, you just move from here to there to there to there. I moved here from a different country. I grew up with different set of people that I went to high school with, but guess what? They live in India and I live here. So, you know, so what I mean is it helps to lay some roots. So when you own a house, you move into a neighborhood, um, you you belong. You have good neighbors, because you can't have any shithead living next to you, because shitheads can't afford a $360,000 house. All the fucking broke people, they live in apartments. You know what I mean? But if you want to live in a good neighborhood, then you have to be a certain standard, right? You have to make enough money to be able to afford a house in that neighborhood, right? So one benefit is you'll have good neighbors, good company. Your kids will go to good schools. They'll have good friends. Versus apartments where rent's always going up. There's you never know who's still living next to you. There's like 500 apartments in these 10 buildings, and they're stacked right next to each other. So, you get an upgrade in life by owning a house, because you're in good company. You are not living next to some bad actors, okay? Which is worth a lot of money. Imagine you had a kid and you have all these dreams attached to the kid, and then he becomes a car thief or drug dealer because his friends are kids of the drug dealer that lives next to your apartment. So if you're going to have kids, try making better choices. Own a house, okay? Well, owning a house lets you unleash your creativity. You can do anything with the house. You can change things around. You don't like carpet, put wood floors in, put different kind of tile. You can remodel the bathroom. You can change the paint. You can do anything you want. You can grow a garden. I like mint. I got shitload of mint. Mint grows by itself, as in you plant little one and it just keeps on expanding, expanding, and expanding. So I don't have to go buy a little bit of mint for $3. Fucking shitload of it in my backyard. Anyway, so you can grow tomatoes. Don't like your wife, you can bury her in the backyard. Just kidding. Don't do that. So you can be creative. If you own a house, you can run a business from your house, right? You can build a workshop, and do the things you always wanted to do. Go get some tools and mess with things. You can also build a tiny house. Nowadays, they even sell them right there on Amazon. You can order a tiny house. Cost like, well, the other day I found the Lowe's is selling them. It costs less than $10,000. You can put a tiny house in the backyard and rent it to a single person. Do you know, I get calls all day long from people who are telling me, hey man, I'm paying $1,400 in rent for 1-bedroom apartment, plus they pay electric, water, all sorts of other things, adds up to $2,000. How would you like to, hey, save half of your money? Come, live in my tiny house, and all bills are paid. You extend the electric over to the tiny little house, and hey, they'll pay you $1,000 a month, and you can pay off the house faster. All right. So you can do Airbnb. From, if you don't have all your rooms filled, you can do Airbnb. Look up Airbnb. I'm not going to cover that in this video. You can get into what's called a care business, meaning you can get someone that's older, someone that may be mentally a little bit slow, any kind of care. You could be a foster parent, and the state pays you tons of money. I had a lady that got a house from me, and she put 3 people in it, and the state is paying her $5,000 a person. So she makes $15,000 per month, and all she provides is just room and board. She doesn't bathe them, she doesn't change their clothes or give them medication, and there's no license required. So there's all sorts of, you can do beauty business, you can cut people's hair, you can, You can run a prostitution ring from your house. Just kidding. So all I'm trying to say is, hey man, you own the pad. You can do anything with it. So you can't do those things when you don't own a house. So there's just so many things you can do. Anyway, let me close out this video by talking about some of the reasons people come up with self-created excuses as to why they don't own a house. Well, the biggest one is, hey man, I don't have money. Well, I'll show you where to get your money. Get a piece of paper, a white piece of paper, and on the left-hand side of the paper, I want you to write down all the income that comes into the house. Your income, your wife's income, any government money you get, any benefits, alimony, whatever, any money coming in every month, all the money comes in, write it down. And then on the right-hand side, I want you to write down where does your money go. So right now, if you're renting, then you write down what is your rent, how much is your electric bill, how much is your water bill, how much is your cell phone bill, how much is your car payment, car insurance, how much money do you spend on fuel every month. And if you don't know any of this, most people charge it on their card, right? So go pull up your bank statement and write it down, and then whatever it is you spend money on, dog food or whatever, right? And then add it up. So most people, when I talk to them, I'm like, how much do you make? Oh, I make $5,000. My wife makes $6,000. Oh, so you make $11,000? Oh, yeah. And then how much is your rent? We're paying $2,500 in rent. And how much is your car payment? We don't have car payment, or blah blah blah. And then when they add it up, their expenses add up to $3,600. So I'm like, well, you make $11,000. Your expenses are $3,600, or let's say just call it $4,000. Where's the other $7,000? How much do you have in your bank? Oh, we don't have anything. We only have $2,000, $2,500. Well, that's because all they got saved is just next month's rent. That's because they're eating all that money. Look at people. They're so fucking fat because they treat food as if it's a cure to something. So, you got to get your mind straight. You have the money. All you got to do is figure out, hey man, I want to get a better life. I don't want to be a fucking slave all my life where I go, give my time, get a goddamn check, I spend it, and then go get another check. And, you've been doing it for long enough. If you're young, I tell you, that's not where you want to go. You want to take the money that you have and you want to start spending it in such a way that it works for you, which is to buy a house. Okay, so you have the money. If you don't have the money, call me. I'll help you find it. And if I don't help you find it, well, I will help you find it, period. But if not, then I will help you make more money. Okay, so if you're a barber, or you are a home remodeler, or you're a fireman, or whatever you are, I don't care what occupation you have, there's always ways to make more money, right? And sometimes it might require you picking up a side gig, or tooling up, or but point being, I can help you make more money. Give me a call. Whatever it is that you're doing, you can always improve, and I can help you. So, and then people tell me, hey man, I have bad credit. I'm going to fix my credit, and then I'm going to buy a house. Well, if you have bad credit, it didn't just happen. It's a habit. You are a fuck up. You moved, and then you didn't think it's important to return that cable box to the AT&T or whatever company you got them from, right? So guess what? Although that box cost them $10, they're going to put $1,200 on your credit, and that's how your credit got ruined. So if your credit is bad, it's not going to be anytime soon that it's going to get repaired. You know why? Because as soon as you fix something, then you're going to go fuck it up again, and so that's not going to happen. So you don't need credit to buy a house. Call me. I don't require credit. Okay, so if you have no credit, you have bad credit, you have fucked up credit, you don't need it. I'll give you a house without credit. Okay, but I'm not saying you shouldn't fix your credit. I'll even teach you how to fix your credit, okay? But you don't need, that's not a valid excuse not to own. Oh, hey man, the payment's too high. Well, would you rather just spend the money on rent and get to 67 where you have no money and your body is no longer working and be homeless? Or would you rather spend a little bit more in, in the form of an investment? You're investing this money, right? And have the option to retire in 15 years, have a good life, freaking travel the world, and die rich. Which one? So, yes, something's got to give. So, you know, all I can say is instead of investing in eating out or whatever, wherever you're wasting money, invest in you. Number one, that's you, right? So, invest in yourself. So, payments are relative. You know what I mean? I can't take you back. Otherwise, if I can take you back 20 years, I'll charge you $600. I remember when I started long time ago, I used to charge people $700, $699, because back then property taxes were so low and everything was low. What with time, shit has gone up. So you get to pay more. But it's all relative. Yeah. Some people call me and say, "Hey man, the price is too high." Well, you don't own shit. What do you want me to do? Give you the house for $1? So the point is, price is what it is. You get what you pay for. The other day, somebody called me and they're like, "Hey man, I'm looking for a house for about $100,000." So I'm like, "Well, I don't know if there's any $100,000 houses." I googled and I said, "Is there any houses for $100,000?" And you know what came up? An empty lot. An empty lot in the neighborhood where I live is $100,000. It doesn't even have utilities on it. So if you're looking for a $100,000 house in a market where the median price of a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage home is $360,000, then if you get a house for $100,000, it's going to be in a real shit area where people will rape you unless you go get a gun, and then if you shoot somebody, you end up in jail. Please don't do that. So price is relative. Let me just give you another real story from my life. Long time ago, I used to live in California. When I moved into this neighborhood, the prices were $180,000, and I had a good job, a retirement plan. I had savings, but I was like, "Hey man, I'm smart. I'm not going to pay full price. I'm going to wait till prices come down. Maybe they drop 10%. So instead of 180, if they come down about 10%, I'll buy one for 160, 165, and I'll be smart." Guess what? They never came down. And I was renting all these years, waiting for the price to come down. And by the time I moved from California, the same exact houses that were 180, they were selling for 780. Okay? So guess what? You don't want to miss the boat. It is what it is. Okay? So whenever you invest money, you always want to make sure that it's in a place where your investment's going to go up. Okay? So there are areas in this town where you can buy a house for less, but it's always easy to buy there. But when it comes to selling, good luck. There are areas where I can show you, even today, you can go there, you can buy a house for $5,000, but you wouldn't want to live there. Understand? So then people tell me, "Hey man, I'm self-employed. I work in I'm a dancer, I'm a hooker, I'm working in a business where I make cash, I don't file income taxes, I can't get a loan." Well, it's true that if you go to a bank and you need a loan, they're going to want you to document things. But when you're dealing with a private person, such as myself, um, I really don't care how you make your money, okay? My relationship with you is I give you a house, this is your payment. As long as you're making your payment on time, you're on my good books, okay? So, no, you don't need any of that. I've had people come to me and say, "Hey man, I don't want to be known in this world. I mean, for whatever reason, right? And they bought a house from me, and they paid it off, and all the time they lived there, I kept the utilities in my name, so they were not even traceable. You know what I mean? So nobody has to know, right? And I can set it up for you that way, so that if you got a chunk of money and you're afraid that the government's going to take it, well, invest it in a house so that that money is doubling every 7 years, and it will be protected. Okay. Um, and then people tell me, hey man, I don't have a down payment. Well, you don't need a down payment. Yeah, you need a down payment when you're dealing with a bank, but if you're dealing with a private person, you don't need a down payment. You can simply just come and talk to me, tell me what you got, and as long as you can comfortably afford the payment, I can help you. I can help you get a house. Um, well, some people tell me, hey man, I have money to put down, but I need it just in case something happens for security. Well, let me put it this way. Let's say you give me $20,000, right? And it's your down payment or whatever. Well, hey man, if something happens to you, after all, it's your money. And right now you're just wasting money on rent. But if you can own a house and all of a sudden something happens to you and you need $2,000 or whatever, call me. I'll give you the $2,000. I'll get you out of your thing because it's your money. But all I'm trying to do is get you to look at money and make a decision to start making it work for you instead of letting it just sit there. Understand? People tell me, hey man, I don't have papers. I'm not legal in this country. I don't have Social Security. I don't have a green card. Well, there is no law in the United States that says that you have to be a citizen in order to own things in this country. Lots of Japanese people, people from China, people from India, people from every country out there, Saudi Arabia, they own tons of property in this country. They don't live here, they're not citizens, they don't have a Social Security. So there is no such law. So if you don't have any legal papers, it's okay. It doesn't matter. You don't have to have it. You can own a house, okay? As long as you can afford the payment, that is. And then sometimes, I don't know, it's very common in people from South America, especially Mexicans. People come, they say, oh, I like the idea, but then they'll be like, hey man, I want to bring my relative. And they'll bring their relative and say, hey man, this guy is going to help me get this house. What do you think? Well, without fail, that idea never works. They always convince them, hey man, you don't want to own, this guy is charging too much interest, the price is too much, the payment's too much, or they'll sell them some sort of bullshit. And this is why this happens. When you are dealing with other people, by nature, people, generally speaking, want themselves looking better. So if you are their relative and then all of a sudden your life is better and you're going up in life, then what's going to happen is all of a sudden they're going to feel jealous. Hey man, this fucker's going up with my advice. So they're never going to give you advice that's good for you, okay? So have some confidence in you. God gave you a brain, and God gave you today where you found all this knowledge simply by clicking on an ad, and you came across this video, and here I am sharing all this knowledge with you that you can't find in books. How many people can you find out there in town that'll go out, buy a house, and let you pay it off with your rent money? Yeah? So point being, God cares for you. So you don't need all these loser relatives to go out and ask questions. Anyway, I want to close out this video by saying, hey, the best investment, in my opinion, you can make is in owning a house. And if you want to own one, please go to my website. It's called buyownerfinance.com, spelled BUYOURFINANCE.com, buyownerfinance.com. And if you have any questions, you can give me a call at 817-770-6256. I'm available 7 days a week. I'm also available on Saturday and Sunday. I am here to help you if you need help. And, well, thank you for your time. All right. You take care.